Hello everyone and welcome on the Papier de Rêve channel. I'm Ursula and today I will be painting with you some peonies. And this week I will not just talk about how to paint peonies, but I want also to talk about failure and about restarting a painting multiple times until you are satisfied with. I've painted the same subject 3 times, and the one you are seeing right now is the 3rd time I painted some peonies, and that's totally okay to restart a painting from scratch if you are not satisfied with, because the failure, or you think that's a failure before, tell you something and teach you something. So it's better to listen to your failure and learn from them so that you are not doing the same failure again. And failure or mistake is a bit of a harsh term, but I think that every brush mark you are putting on the paper is teaching something to you, and it's just about observing what's happening and learning from it. And that's totally okay to not be satisfied, but take this opportunity to learn something and to observe what's happening and why you do not like it and what you can do to like it. So I started this painting by painting a big peony on the bottom left corner with some Rose Madder Lake and Winsor Red. In my past attempt to this painting, I was using just Rose Madder Lake to paint the peonies, and I wasn't satisfied with the colors. That's why I've learned from it, and I use Winsor Red in the mix in order to warm up a little bit this color and be able to have a really strong and powerful pink. My first layer is, as usual, quite blurry. I'm starting with a dry sheet of paper, but as I'm adding more and more water and color on top of it, everything is wet at some point, and that's totally okay. I'm just focusing on this layer to place the right color at the right place. And for the details, we will see that a little bit later. So the first layer is all about the right color at the right place, but it's also the best time to work on composition. And here I'm working on a diagonal composition from the bottom left corner to the top right corner. And I start this composition with a big flower of peony in pink and some other bud a little bit higher in the page to mark this diagonal composition. And now it's time to let this layer dry before adding some details, and while it's drying I will talk you through my supplies. For the brushes I'm using an Escoda Último 1 inch and an Escoda Último number 18. For the colors I'm using Ultramarine blue, Nickel Azo yellow, Aussie red gold, Winsor Red, and Rose Madder Lake. And my paper today is from Aussie in rough. And while speaking about paper, I should say that this sheet of paper I'm painting on has another painting on the other side. And I try to be a bit mindful of my stock of paper, and when I'm not very happy with a painting, I just turn it and start it again. Paper is the most expensive supplies when you are painting in watercolor, especially if you work with cotton paper as I am. So if you are not happy with the painting, you can see that as a waste, but you can still use the other face of the paper, the other side, so it's less of a waste. And I think that it's never a waste of paper to paint and try something, even if you are not satisfied with, just because you are learning from this, and that's money well spent, even if you are not happy with it. making a painting, making art, just placing some color on the paper is never a waste. Just because you are learning from it, you are getting something from it, even if it's just a peaceful mind for a few minutes. And that's worth it, I think. So in this second layer, I'm adding some details to my painting in order to allow you to understand a little bit more my subject. And I'm trying to express the flower of peony with all the petals and all the texture in it. It's quite the hardest thing to do in this painting, and I'm not sure I'm getting it right now. I have to work on it a little bit more, but it's a little bit better. So first I'm trying to get the saturation of color right. I want a very powerful pink red on this flower, and I'm still using the mix of Winsor Red and Rose Madder Lake. And then a little bit later I will add some shadow in this area, so that you are able to see the dimension of the flower. And for that I will use a little bit of ultramarine blue in the same mix of Winsor Red and Rose Madder Lake. As I said at the beginning, at my first try on this painting, I was just using Rose Madder Lake as my pink. And when I mix Rose Madder Lake with ultramarine blue, I get violet. That is really beautiful, but it's a little bit too cold for the shadow, and it wasn't really working on my flower. So by adding a little bit of Winsor Red, that is much more warmer than Rose Madder Lake, I can get a color that is a little bit muted in a violet tone, a little bit like red wine, and it's this tone is really more suitable for all the shadow on the flowers. For all the greeneries and the leaves and the stem here, I'm using a mix of ultramarine blue just because I want the same blue in every part of my painting, so that every color comes together. So I'm using ultramarine blue with nickel azo yellow and Aussie red gold. The nickel azo yellow will add a little bit of brightness to the green. And at the contrary, Aussie red gold will add a little bit of murky color in my green. And that's perfect because I want some of my leaves to be in the sunshine and some of them to be a little bit darker, like in shadows. So I really like to mix my green with ultramarine blue and these two colors so that I can have a really wide range of greens here. And even though I have to still work on the big bloomed flower of peony, I'm really happy with all the bud I've painted in this painting and the greeneries and the leaves, because I think they are quite similar to the real flower. Especially the bud, just because I really capture the fact that the bud is encapsulated in some sort of shell of green, and I think that you can really see that, and the leaves starting from the shell also. It's really something particular to peonies. So I'm really happy from the right side of my painting, not so much on the left side, sadly. I haven't found right now the right way that works for me to paint a full bloom peony, and I have the same problem with roses. Every flower that has a lot of petals and a lot of details in the flower are quite difficult for me, and that's okay. I'm learning each time I try, and I will not stop to try just because I want to be able to paint them, and I hope I will be able sometimes. And I don't know why, but it's hard for me to paint them with watercolor, but it's really easy for me to paint them with gouache. And I've tried to paint the same scene almost with gouache, and it's really a good painting, I think, even if it's just a sketch. So I just haven't found the right way to paint them with watercolor, and I will try to find this way. But this video is now ending. Thanks for watching, and I hope you like it. Please check the blog post for more information about this painting and tell me what you think in the comments. See you soon.